All right, we're being recorded, so I guess we're for real. Excuse me. So welcome everybody. Welcome back if today is your Monday because you were lucky enough to have yesterday off. I did have yesterday off and my kids had yesterday off from school, so I think maybe I almost wished I had been at work yesterday, but we are here today to talk about Christmas tree farms and how they can take advantage of agritourism in their communities. And so, as Lindsay said, my name is Laura Biasillo. I work at CCE Broome, which is in Binghamton, and going to talk to you today about some things that hopefully you'll be able to learn from, and then really also want to have some engagement from folks and hear, what your experiences have been. So first, talking a little bit about, why agritourism really works for Christmas tree farms. We really like to think it's a perfect match, right? Christmas tree farms rely on families to come out to their farm to get their trees. And, it's that great time for informal education where you can be talking with customers about the specific species of tree, what it's good for, how long it lasts, how it needs to be taken care of after they take it from the farm. And really, just a great opportunity to get folks out onto a farm as well. That season, it's really an opportunity to leverage family traditions and encourage experiences. I remember one Christmas tree grower in our community had said that, for him, he never really has any problems really with customers because, it's Christmas. It's the happiest time of the year. Everyone's in a good mood. So, it's always a great experience and a great time. Some of the challenges when it comes to agritourism with Christmas trees is that, as we know, Christmas trees are a finite resource. They take anywhere from 7 to 10 years to be harvestable, and you really can't clear cut your trees if demand is really high in any certain year, because then, you won't have the trees for the following year. And we know that that is something that can happen, especially when it gets close to that Christmas holiday. People always like to procrastinate, push things off. And then, depending on the number of tree farms that are in your community, there may be a higher demand as folks decide maybe they don't have enough trees that year to actually allow folks to come onto the farm, or aging out, or any number of other obstacles or challenges. The other big challenge is the season is very short, right? The best case is you get about 4 weeks of sales, depending on when Thanksgiving happens. As Thanksgiving gets later and later, really it can really push that. And, many Christmas tree farms in our area, they open up on Black Friday. And then, by that second week in December, they're really out. And so any farms that can make it past that, sort of second week in December, really have a corner on that market, because, more and more folks are really, looking to engage in this type of agritourism. Thinking about the type of farm layout that really makes sense for Christmas tree operations, it's really important that you think about, how can you create a good flow of traffic while keeping folks safe? I remember one year my husband and I, before we had kids, we went to a Christmas tree farm, actually this farm that's right here in this picture, and it had rained the night before and then it froze. So everything was on a sheet of ice, including all the trees that weighed about 5 times more than they normally would because they were coated in ice. So thinking about, how our customers going to move through the farm, how can you keep folks safe? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Traditional layout might look something like this, having your customers park out front. And that may be alongside checkout and tree wrapping. You could maybe have pre-cut trees nearby. You cut trees behind, depending on, what type of operation you are and, how far the trees are from where you might want customers to be. Some considerations that you'll want to be thinking about is, having adequate signage for parking. This really should start as soon as folks enter your driveway from the road, letting folks know where they can park, how they should park, where the parking is, having folks that can direct parking, because as much as we'd like to think that people know how to park their cars, they really don't, and especially when there's snow on the ground, it makes it very, very challenging. You want to have staff for that customer service, so carrying folks' trees, wrapping their trees, doing checkout, any number of other things, maybe just walking along the trails where folks are cutting their trees to see if folks have any questions. You want to have maintenance for those trails. So again, a load of pea stone goes a real long way to making sure that folks can stay safe, thinking about where there might be tree roots, being able to mark those so folks don't trip and fall. And then thinking about how you're educating your customers regarding tree species and care. Here's some really great signage that we saw at another local Christmas tree farm, really just talking about like how a tree grows, the different parts of the tree. These are also things you can be thinking about. There are potential risks. First is what type of equipment is being provided to folks, or are you allowing them to bring? Many farms that do allow U-cut typically are only allowing sort of the like one-handed saws that folks can use while they're there. Sometimes they will allow folks to bring a chainsaw with them, but thinking about what you provide and what you allow to be brought, and then how is it being maintained, right? At the end of the season, are you going through and sharpening those saws? Are you doing it throughout the season? Are you kind of getting rid of things that need to be gotten rid of? And then, as we said, the maintenance of the trails. So, how are you maintaining those? Signage regarding root stumps. How do you handle inclement weather, both during your open days and outside of open days? When are you open? How is that being communicated to folks? And then what we have here on the left-hand side of your screen is a sign that a Christmas tree farm had. I believe they said they actually got it from the New York State Christmas Tree Growers Association, that really looks at following the New York State Safety and Agritourism Act, letting folks know the inherent risk in participating in agritourism at their farm. So letting folks know that when you visit a Christmas tree farm, you're going to walk on the ground or on pathways where you could trip, you could fall. There might be uneven or slippery. That you are giving folks farm implements to harvest and move Christmas trees. There might be exposure to other farm equipment. There might be exposure to farm animals. And then sort of the risk and liability section, and that, if you are not willing to participate in this, you're not prepared to participate in it, that you could get a refund depending on what you're doing at your current operation. So when we think about, what are some strategies we can use to minimize risk? So here we see some of those saws that I mentioned. Having them, on this sort of stand will allow folks to get one safely and hopefully not, injure themselves while they're getting that saw. But having signage similar to what we just saw earlier, thinking about providing equipment and not allowing any power equipment can also help you minimize risk, or just being a pre-cut operation will also kind of take that out of the equation. And then thinking about things like salt, wood chips, even sleds. A lot of the pre-cut U-cut Christmas tree farms I see will get like a bunch of sleds from, say, the Dollar General or Walmart or wherever it might be, so that folks will be able to bring that tree out in a safe way that also will save their back. One great opportunity for Christmas tree farms when it comes to adding value, right? People came for a tree, but there's other things that we can do. So, what are some pre-made items that you can add value and add to your income stream? It could be things like wreaths, swags, centerpieces. A great way to use those excess boughs when you're trimming your trees to get ready for the season. And remember, as consumers, we love convenience. So if we can pick something up that looks really beautiful and smells amazing and we know is going to last us for, 2, 4, 5 months, we're going to be willing to pay for it. Thinking about things like classes or hosting events. Remember, as we said, the season is very short, so the more we can squeeze out of it, the better. So events could maybe be like a tree lighting ceremony to kick off your season, having a twilight twinkle tour. So, having string lights up, helping, inviting folks to walk through the tree, all your Christmas trees, maybe even offering folks the opportunity to come and tag your tree earlier in the season so nobody can take it. Really, folks really love that, very special tree that, they feel is just going to look perfect in whatever room. So offering folks that opportunity can be another great option. Or even thinking about something easy like a hot chocolate and cookie station, right? It doesn't cost very much to, have a coffee maker that brews hot water, and offering it for free. Maybe having a breakfast with Santa, or any other number of ideas. I am going to stop sharing my presentation quickly because I do want to share this, which I'm going to stop sharing because I just want to make sure it's actually going to, well, right. So this is actually an event that a reindeer farm did just about a week ago, I guess it is. And I know it's not a Christmas tree farm, but it is very similar because their season is, quite short, similar to Christmas tree farms. And so this was a really great opportunity. They basically have a local 5K. It's called a Volksmarch, which is sort of like a run walk, do at your own pace, do what you want, through their actual farm. And then they had a picnic with locally sourced bratwurst and beer, and then live music, and they were using it as a fundraiser for the community library. And so even something like this could be a really great opportunity to engage with folks maybe outside of your season. That could be another great opportunity. So we'll go back to our presentation. Great. So here's some other ideas. I asked my friend ChatGPT what they might say that we should consider as a Christmas tree operation. And so some of the things I already talked about, like a tree lighting kickoff or a twinkle tour, having a s'mores campfire, having fire pits, doing holiday story time, having a breakfast with Santa, carols in the trees, like an outdoor movie night, playing on like those holiday themes like Elf or the Polar Express, doing ornament crafting workshops. So, it's very easy. You're cutting all of those big chunks off the bottom of the Christmas tree when you're wrapping it for folks to take home. So if you just slice those up, you could use those to let kids paint to make a wood slice painting. You could do pine cone ornaments, snow painting if there's snow, having like holiday hay rides, partnering with another local farm to maybe bring farm animals and holiday gear, having like a elf hunt in the tree. So if you could find little elf dolls or other things, and maybe you hide them throughout your Christmas trees, and then folks can go and do a little like hide and seek. You can do a little mini maze, all sorts of really fun ideas. So I wanted to kind of open it up now for folks and see, if you have ever tried any of these things, if this maybe helped you think of like one thing that you might be able to do this year pretty easily, or if there's any challenges or opportunities that we didn't identify during the presentation.